The hum of the plane's engines droned softly in the background as the trio sat in silence, each lost in their thoughts. The private plane, modest in size and comfort, reflected their current rogue status, far from the polished operations they were used to. Outside, the sky stretched endlessly, a calm expanse of blue with lazy clouds drifting below. But inside the cabin, the weight of their mission pressed down heavily. Alex stared out of the window, her reflection distorted against the backdrop of the passing sky. Her mind wasn't on the mission ahead, but on the ghosts of her past. The day Black Dawn attacked the agency was seared into her memory, the chaos, the explosions, the shouting. But it wasn't the destruction she remembered most. It was Trinity. Trinity had been a tech genius, the agency's brightest mind, and Alex's closest friend. She had always found a way to bring humor and light into even the darkest moments. During the attack, Trinity had stayed behind in the server room, frantically working to initiate a lockdown and protect the agency's secrets. Alex had been running toward her, heart pounding, only to be stopped by the sight of flames engulfing the room. She clenched her fists, a familiar ache settling in her chest. I owe it to Trinity. I owe it to all of them. Her jaw tightened as she silently vowed once again to stop Black Dawn, no matter the cost. Karina, sitting across from Alex, was quiet as well, her katana resting across her lap. She absent-mindedly traced the blade with her fingers, her face a mask of calm, but her thoughts were anything but. Her mind drifted back to the mission that still haunted her, the extraction of Alexandra. It should have been simple, but Black Dawn had been waiting for them. The ambush had been brutal. Des and Jewel, two of their best, had taken the brunt of it. Jewel had been bleeding out, urging them to leave her behind as Des, despite losing a leg, continued to fight. The memory of Des in a wheelchair, her career over, and Jewel still recovering, weighed heavily on Karina. She had rescued Alexandra, but at what cost? Karina wondered if redemption was even possible for her. How many more lives would be lost in this fight? How many more sacrifices? Ashley sat across from her two teammates, her eyes moving between them. As the leader, she carried the burden of their emotions, their pain, and their losses. She had seen too much destruction, too many lives broken by Black Dawn's cruelty. She thought back to the day she had to tell Jewel's family about the injury, and Des that she would never return to the field. The helplessness that had gripped her that day still gnawed at her. I can't make another mistake, she thought, gripping the armrest tightly. The pressure to protect them, to lead them without further casualties, weighed heavily on her shoulders. I won't lose anyone else. The silence in the cabin was thick, the unspoken pain shared between them. Finally, Alex broke the stillness, her voice rough with emotion. Do you think we're doing the right thing, going rogue like this? She didn't look at either of them, her gaze still fixed on the sky. Gunnar told us to wait. What if we're just chasing ghosts? Karina's eyes darkened, a mixture of anger and sadness flickering across her face. We can't just sit around while Black Dawn gathers strength. We owe it to Trinity, to Des, to Jewel, to everyone we've lost. We have to stop them. Ashley nodded, her voice steady but filled with resolve. Karina's right. If we don't fight, no one will. We owe it to those we've lost to keep going, to make sure their sacrifices mean something. Alex sighed, leaning back in her seat. I know. I wish it didn't have to be this way. Ashley reached across the aisle, placing a hand on Alex's shoulder. We're in this together, Alex. We all carry the weight of our losses, but we also carry the strength of those who fought beside us. We have to trust each other and keep moving forward. Karina, nodding in agreement, sheathed her katana and leaned back in her seat. We've all lost people we care about, but we have each other, and we have a mission. That's what matters now. The tension in the cabin eased slightly, the shared understanding between them reinforcing their bond. They had all seen the horrors of war, and while the past haunted them, It also gave them the strength to keep fighting. As the plane continued its journey toward Rome, the trio shifted from reflection to planning. They knew that without careful preparation, the risks of their rogue mission would far outweigh the rewards. Ashley unfolded a large map of Rome across the small table in the plane's cabin, the city's ancient streets and landmarks marked with various symbols Madame Laveau had indicated. "Our target is in the catacombs beneath Rome," Ashley began, pointing to a section of the map. "The artifact is hidden deep underground, guarded by the spirit of a fallen warrior. We have to retrieve it before Black Dawn does, without attracting attention." Alex leaned in, studying the map with a furrowed brow. "The main entrances are out. Too many cameras, too much exposure. We'll need to find an alternate way in." "There's an old tunnel network that's been sealed off for years," Karina added, her eyes narrowing in concentration. "If we can find an access point, we can avoid the security and get straight to the catacombs." Ashley tapped a location on the map. "There's a rumour about a hidden entrance beneath the Santi Apostoli Church. It's abandoned, and the locals avoid it. They say it's haunted." Alex smirked. "Haunted? Sounds like our kind of place." "But we'll need to move fast," Ashley warned. "We don't know how much time we have before Black Dawn makes their move." Karina checked her katana, ensuring it was sharp and ready for the fight ahead. "And once we're in, we need to be ready for anything. If that spirit is as powerful as Madame Laveau said, it won't go down easily." Ashley nodded, her gaze hardening. "Let's go over the plan one more time." The trio went over every detail, mapping out their infiltration into the ancient catacombs, their strategy for avoiding detection, and the steps they would take to retrieve the artifact. They knew the risks, but they also knew they couldn't afford to fail. Their enemies were growing stronger, and the fate of their world depended on them staying one step ahead. As the plane descended toward Rome, the trio prepared themselves for the challenges ahead. They had survived loss and betrayal, and they were determined to survive this mission too. Together, they would face the shadows of the past and forge a path toward the future, no matter how dark the road became. The streets of Rome are quiet when they arrive, shadows stretching long under the glow of street lamps. The team moves swiftly through the city, staying off the main roads to avoid attention. They slip through the back alleys, their figures blending into the darkness. Ahead looms the Santi Apostoli Church, a decaying structure partially hidden by overgrown ivy. The place is silent, and the doors, heavily chained, seem to guard something far more dangerous than mere ruins. Alex takes the lead, expertly picking the lock with swift precision. The heavy door creaks open, and the trio enters the forgotten church. Inside, the air is thick with dust, and the stale scent of mildew hangs heavily in the air. They make their way through the main hall, guided only by their flashlights. The church is dark, its ancient architecture bathed in shadows, giving it an eerie, haunted quality. It's easy to understand why locals avoid it. In the basement, they find the hidden passage, just as Madame Laveau had predicted. Behind a stack of forgotten crates and broken pews, there is a small, crumbling opening that leads into the depths below. Alex pulls out the enchanted compass, watching as it glows faintly, guiding them deeper into the catacombs. As they descend, the temperature drops, and the darkness around them becomes suffocating. They switch to night vision goggles, and the once pitch-black tunnels are bathed in shades of green. Bones and burial niches line the walls, silent sentinels to the secrets buried here. Suddenly, a low growl reverberates through the catacombs, stopping them in their tracks. The team freezes, and out of the shadows ahead emerges the spirit guardian, an ancient Roman warrior, his armor flickering with ethereal blue flames. His eyes burn with an otherworldly glow as he draws a ghostly sword, the blade crackling with power. Karina steps forward, katana drawn. Her eyes lock onto the warriors as she prepares for the inevitable confrontation. "Stay back," she warns Ashley and Alex. "I'll handle him." The spirit warrior charges forward with blinding speed, and Karina meets him head-on. Their blades clash, sending a shockwave of energy through the tunnel. Karina's precise strikes are matched by the warrior's immense strength, each swing of his ghostly blade pushing her to the limit. Ashley and Alex stand ready, watching as Karina skillfully fends off the spirit. Alex observes the spirit's movements, looking for any weakness, while Ashley begins reciting a containment spell she had learned from Madame Laveau. The battle reaches its peak as Karina lands a decisive blow, severing the spirit's sword arm. The warrior staggers back, giving Ashley the opening she needs. She steps forward, chanting the spell as a shimmering bubble of energy envelops the spirit, trapping him within its bounds. Alex quickly approaches the trapped warrior, raising her hands in a peaceful gesture. "We're not here to harm you. We need the artifact you guard to prevent a greater evil from returning. Please let us help." The spirit stares at Alex for a long moment, his ethereal eyes flickering. Slowly, he lowers his remaining arm, nodding. With a gesture, he directs them to an alcove where the artifact, a small, intricately carved amulet, rests on a stone pedestal. Ashley retrieves the amulet, securing it in a protective case. "Thank you," she whispers to the spirit, watching as he fades into the shadows, his duty fulfilled at last. With the artifact in hand, the team quickly makes their way back through the winding catacombs, retracing their steps toward the church. As they reach the basement entrance, the faint sound of sirens echoes through the distance, local authorities closing in. "Time to go," Alex mutters, and the team slips out of the church and vanishes into the night, leaving no trace behind. The private plane hummed steadily as it cut through the night sky, the distant drone of the engines providing a constant background to the trio's heavy silence. The mood was tense but resolute as Alex, Karina, and Ashley sat around the small table. In front of them, resting in a protective case, was the artifact they had fought so hard to retrieve from the catacombs. The intricately carved amulet that pulsed faintly with a strange, eerie light. Its dark metal surface seemed to shift and ripple in the dim cabin light, casting flickering shadows on the walls. Ashley was the first to speak, breaking the thick silence. "We did it," she said, her voice calm but edged with the weight of their mission. "We've got the artifact, but this is only the beginning. We need to figure out our next move, how we're going to protect it, and how we're going to get the others before Black Dawn does." Alex, leaning back in her seat, rubbed a hand through her tousled hair, still processing the events in the catacombs. "I still can't wrap my head around it," she said, her voice low. "That spirit could have wiped us out if it wanted to. Why do you think it let us take the amulet without a fight?" Karina, who had been silently studying the artifact with a cautious gaze, spoke up. "Maybe it knew we weren't like the others who came for it. Madame Laveau said that spirit was bound to protect the artifact, but it wasn't evil. I think it sensed our intentions." Her fingers traced the hilt of her katana resting on her lap, a habit she'd developed over the years in moments of contemplation. Ashley nodded, agreeing. "Spirits aren't always malevolent. They follow the purpose they were given. This one saw that we're trying to prevent something far worse from happening. That's why it let us take it." She opened the protective case and lifted the amulet, careful not to disturb its delicate balance of energy. The carvings on the surface depicted scenes of warriors locked in battle, their enemies shadowy figures, shapeless and menacing. In the center, a small gemstone glowed with a pale blue light, pulsating gently with an energy that seemed alive. The closer Ashley held it, the more tangible the power became. She felt it thrumming through the air, ancient and dangerous. "This thing is potent," Ashley said, her eyes narrowing. "I can feel the energy radiating from it. If Ultranacious gets all of these artifacts, the world is in serious danger." Alex leaned forward, studying the amulet. "It's not just about keeping it safe, it's about making sure no one even knows we have it. If Black Dawn finds out, they'll come for us." Karina's eyes darkened. They will come, Alex. We can't hide from them forever. We're already on their radar. It's only a matter of time before they realize we're after these artifacts too. Ashley closed the case with a soft click, her mind racing through their options. We've got two choices. We either find somewhere to hide this, where no one, not even Black Dawn, can find it, or we keep it with us and go after the other artifacts ourselves. Alex immediately shook her head. Hiding it's too risky. If we stash it somewhere, there's always a chance Black Dawn could find it before we gather the rest. At least if we keep it with us, we know where it is. We stay in control. Karina nodded in agreement. She's right. We've come too far to start burying our leads. If we're going to stop Black Dawn, we need all the pieces. One misstep and we're finished. Ashley sighed, leaning back and rubbing her temples, the pressure of leadership weighing on her. I agree, but we need to be smart. If we're keeping this with us, we need to make sure it's secure. No one outside of this plane can know we have it, or where we're going next. Alex grinned slightly, a glimmer of her usual rebellious spark shining through. We've gone rogue, Ash. Secrecy is practically our brand now. But you're right, no unnecessary risks. We stay off the grid, keep moving, and trust no one. Ashley nodded firmly, her voice hardening with determination. Then it's settled. We keep the artifact with us, and we go after the others. Fast, quiet, and under the radar. We can't afford any mistakes. We're all that stands between Black Dawn and the return of Ultranacious. Karina, tapping the hilt of her katana, considered something. What about Gunnar? Should we contact him? Let him know what's happening? Ashley thought for a moment, then shook her head. No. If Black Dawn intercepts the message, it could jeopardize everything. Gunnar's off-world looking for the Starlight Gem, and he's trusting us to handle things here. We have to trust him, too. Silence fell over the cabin once more, but this time it was a silence of shared resolve, not doubt. The stakes had never been higher. They knew the dangers ahead, the weight of the losses they had already suffered. And they knew that this mission, this fight, was about more than just revenge. It was about survival. Alex broke the silence, her voice quiet but fierce. Trinity, Des, Jewel. They all gave their lives for this. They believed in what we're doing. We can't let their sacrifices mean nothing. Karina's expression hardened. We owe it to them. We owe it to everyone Black Dawn has hurt. This ends with us. Ashley placed a steady hand on the case containing the amulet, her voice firm. We fight for the ones who can't fight anymore, for a world that has no idea what's at stake. We're the last line of defense, and we won't let them down. They quickly got to work, devising a plan to secure the artifact while keeping it hidden. Alex, ever resourceful, constructed a makeshift Faraday cage around the protective case, using the limited materials they had on the plane. The cage would block any tracking signals or magical attempts to locate the artifact, ensuring that it remained undetectable. Once the case was secure, they turned their attention to the next phase of their mission. As the plane sped through the dark skies, each member of the team took a moment to reflect on what lay ahead. The road would be long, the dangers greater than anything they had faced before, but their purpose was clear, and they were united by a shared goal: to stop Black Dawn, protect the world from Ultranacious, and honor the fallen. The hum of the engine filled the cabin once again as they settled in, their resolve stronger than ever. They would see this mission through, no matter the cost. The safe house in Traverse City, Michigan, sat nestled in a quiet, wooded area, hidden away from the world. The trees whispered in the evening breeze, the stillness broken only by the distant chirping of crickets. After the chaotic streets of Rome and the dark, claustrophobic catacombs, the trio welcomed the isolation. This was their haven now, a place of respite, but also a staging ground for what lay ahead. The modest cabin looked unassuming from the outside, but inside, it was a fortress of preparation. Gunnar had left nothing to chance before embarking on his off-world mission. The main living area had been transformed into a makeshift operations centre, equipped with state-of-the-art surveillance gear, a satellite communication hub, and enough weapons to rival a small army. Maps, laptops, and mission files cluttered the table, evidence of the planning that was now in their hands. As they stepped out of the car, the forest around them felt both comforting and ominous. The silence stretched, heavy and watchful. "Feels good to be somewhere that isn't crawling with eyes," Alex muttered as she glanced around the clearing. "For now, at least." Ashley nodded, her mind already shifting to the tasks at hand. Let's not get too comfortable. Inside, they wasted no time. Ashley secured the artifact beneath the floorboards, while Alex and Karina swept the cabin for any signs of tampering or surveillance. Satisfied that everything was in order, they gathered around the table where Madame Laveau's map lay unfolded, a stark reminder of how far they had come and how far they still had to go. Ashley ran a hand over the map's surface, her brow furrowed in concentration. "The next artifact is somewhere here, in the Midwest. Madame Laveau mentioned it was tied to water, something like a lake or a river. If that's true, the Great Lakes might be our best bet." Alex tapped away on her laptop, pulling up historical records and supernatural sightings. "If this thing is connected to water, then we're probably looking at one of the Great Lakes or a hidden river system. I'm cross-referencing old reports with supernatural activity in the region. There have been some strange things around Sleeping Bear Dunes on Lake Michigan." Karina, arms crossed, leaned over the map, her eyes flicked over the region. "We know Black Dawn's not going to let us waltz in and take it. If they're sniffing around here, we need to know who's on the ground. We can't walk into another trap." Ashley opened a secure communication channel, tapping into the remnants of the agency's old intelligence network. "Let's see what kind of chatter we can pick up about Black Dawn's movements in the Midwest. We need to be one step ahead this time." The room filled with the soft hum of electronics as they sifted through data. Alex's eyes lit up as she stumbled upon a curious series of reports. "Got something," she said, her voice edged with intrigue. "There's a local legend about a lost ship near the Sleeping Bear Dunes, supposedly cursed. People have reported ghostly apparitions, strange music, and some even say there's treasure on board." Ashley's brow lifted, intrigued. "A ghost ship, hidden treasure, and a curse. That sounds like it fits the profile of the artifact. Water connection, and if the rumors are true, it's tied to something powerful." Karina gave a slight nod. "If this ship is cursed, we'll need to expect more than just Black Dawn. If it's anything like the catacombs in Rome, there could be supernatural defenses guarding it." Ashley brought up a map of recent Black Dawn activity. "We've got confirmed reports of Black Dawn operatives moving through the area. They've been spotted near the dunes, likely searching for the same thing. If we're going to find this artifact, we'll need to act fast. They won't be far behind." Alex glanced over the list of sightings and frowned. "We need to be prepared for more than just Black Dawn. Local law enforcement, maybe even other supernatural groups could be involved. If the artifact's power has drawn attention, we could have more competition than we think." Karina's fingers tapped rhythmically on the table, her mind already strategizing. "We need multiple plans in place. This isn't a simple grab and go. We prepare for everything: ambushes, supernatural interference, even the curse. We can't afford to be caught off guard." The weight of the mission pressed down on them. They had one shot to get this right, and every move had to be calculated. They broke the mission down into 3 critical components. 1. Reconnaissance. Alex would lead a scouting mission to Sleeping Bear Dunes, using her tech expertise to scan for supernatural activity and signs of the ghost ship. 2. Infiltration. Karina would prepare for potential encounters with Black Dawn. Stealth and quick neutralization tactics would be key to avoiding attention. 3. Artifact retrieval. Ashley, as the leader, would oversee the operation, ensuring they secured the artifact and handled any threats. Her role would be to coordinate their actions and adjust the plan as needed. Ashley leaned over the table, her eyes moving between her teammates. We've faced Black Dawn before. We know their methods and we know what's at stake. But this isn't just another mission. This is a race against time. We can't afford mistakes. Alex smirked, but there was a serious edge beneath it. No pressure, right? We've done this before. Plenty of times. We stick to the plan, stay ahead of them, and we'll come out on top. Karina unsheathed her katana, checking its edge with precision. Let's just make sure we're ready for whatever's waiting for us. Cursed ships don't go down easy. The trio went over the details one last time before calling it a night. They had a clear plan, but the uncertainties still loomed large. There was no telling what they'd face out on the dunes, but they'd be ready. Before they turned in, they secured the safe house. Alex set up perimeter alarms and motion-sensitive surveillance systems around the property. Karina double-checked their weapons and gear, ensuring everything was ready for a quick departure. Ashley made one final sweep of the artifact's hiding place, making sure it was secure. As the night deepened, each member found a quiet corner to rest, their minds already racing ahead to tomorrow's mission. The weight of what lay ahead sat heavily on their shoulders, but they were ready. Ready to fight. Ready to win. Outside, the wind rustled through the trees, carrying with it a quiet sense of foreboding. The darkness beyond the safe house seemed to watch them, as if the world itself knew what was coming.